Vice and Mature are the latest additions to the King of Fighters 15, and they've brought a huge balance patch with them. Every character has gotten some buff in one way or another. So in this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of every character and show you some of the coolest changes. We've got 60 characters to cover, so without further ado, let's jump right into the King of Fighters 15 patch version 2.41. If you land a jumping blowback attack in the air and it counter hits, you now have way more time to go follow up your combo. This may seem like a small change at first, but just take a look at some of the combos I found when I was just messing around.
This move might decide the entire match! Let's go!
As you can see, this change is no joke, and characters with great jumping blowbacks just got way better. Those were all of the system changes, so let's move on to the characters. Shune's crouching hard punch can now be jump cancelled on hit, allowing him to go for air dash resets. On hit, the hard and EX version of Shune's DP leave more time for a combo afterwards. Shune's first super, Gigantic Burst, has had its damage changed from 180 up to 200, and the max version is 330 up to 350. Shune's mix-up game and combo game are definitely going to be stronger this patch. Meitenkun's far hard punch can now be cancelled into command normals on hit or block. You can really surprise your opponent with this by getting close to them very quickly. His flash kick, now when charged to level 3, has greater juggle potential. Meitenkun is going to be able to get closer easier, and if you try to jump in on him when he has that level 3 flash kick charged, you're in for a world of hurt. Benimaru can no longer link his crouching light punch into his crouching hard punch or standing hard punch. Close hard kick has had its proximity updated, so it'll come out a little further away. The EX version of Air Raijinken has had its height restriction removed, making it a lot easier to do an instant air version. Thanks to this change, Benimaru can do some really cool things with this EX move. The cancel timing of Hard Punch Raijinken has been adjusted so that the max version of Benimaru's Rising Shot Super will no longer whiff in certain situations. I should also mention that the hitbox of Hard Punch Raijinken has been expanded as well. This will probably make it a lot easier to anti-air with. The nerf to his crouching light punch is a pretty big deal, but the buff to the EX Air Raijinken is really crazy. I think Benimaru will be fine. Isla's jumping hard punch has been made slower from 7 frames to 9 frames. This means that in a hop, she has to press it a lot sooner than she used to be able to. When you cross up with Isla's jumping heavy kick, you're gonna have to hit it a lot deeper to get a full combo. The light version of Isla's paint can is now more active and useful in combos. Isla's forward light kick command normal will now no longer cross up the opponent at point blank. Many consider Isla to be one of the best characters in the game, and these patch notes really let her off easy compared to how some other previous top tiers were treated in the past. Close standing light kick has had its knockback distance on hit and block reduced. The light punch version and light kick version of her projectile now no longer go outside of the stage and will stay on screen. The attack hitbox on the second hit of her hit grab has been increased. Overall, it looks like Dolores got some stability changes, but very meaningful stability changes. I can't imagine how annoying it must have been playing this character for all this time, and to have those two projectiles just not be able to be used in the corner. Heidern's crouching light punch is now a frame slower, up from 5 frames to 6 frames. The hard punch version of his flash kick now only has anti-air invulnerability. Previously, it had full invincibility. Heidern's running cross-up slash assault sailor will now cross opponents up even in the corner. The knockdown for Heidern's first super, Heidern End, has been increased. This is only on the normal version. Kyo's regular jumps and hops have been made faster. The normal version of Kyo's run grab has had its super cancel timing adjusted so it's easier. It definitely feels a lot less strict. The light version of Kyo's Rekka has a bigger hitbox, making it way easier to connect and juggle combos. As a Kyo player, the consistency changes are greatly appreciated, especially the light Rekka chain, as it's going to make some of his more difficult routes easier to do. Iori's crouching light punch has been made faster from 6 frames to 5 frames. The first 2 hits of his hard punch and EX Rekka now push an opponent way further away when connected in the air. Iori got nerfed, but the changes to the counter hit blowbacks are going to do wonders for him. He's going to get rewarded with a ton of damage for already using one of his best buttons. Chizuru's forward light kick now does less damage at 40. The quarter circle back kick follow-up to her EX kick run now causes a hard knockdown after the ground bounce. Chizuru's EX DP now pushes the opponent way further away on hit. Chizuru's quarter circle forward hard punch now knocks the opponent away instead of giving a hard knockdown. Now when using her clone super, Chizuru can use non-clone special moves and supers. I'm no expert on Chizuru, but with all of these changes, it looks like she's gonna have a lot of new things to mess around with, and this character is already scary, and I'm pretty sure she just got way scarier. Ash's close light punch can now be cancelled into command normals. Speaking of command normals, his back light kick command normal can now be performed by doing forward light kick. When used from mid-screen or full screen, Ash's EX Fireball will now knock down. This will make it so now he can convert easier off of a long distant hit. Nothing too substantial for Ash. Making his EX projectile knock down from further away just makes sense. I mean, you're spending meter for the EX projectile, and, you know, previously you just stand there. At least now you get some space to breathe, or if they're closer to the corner, you'll get a combo. Elizabeth's close light punch has been made faster from 5 to 4 frames. Her light projectile has also been made faster, going from 28 frames to 26 frames. Like Ash, no real giant changes for Elizabeth. All of Elizabeth's changes affect her combo game. She's pretty much the same character otherwise. Kukri's far light kick can now be cancelled into special moves and EX moves. Kukri's EX spin will now connect more consistently on aerial opponents. The air version of his heavy overhead kick now does more damage and is faster from 35 frames to 32 frames. It doesn't seem like Kukri or Team Ash in general got any major changes, so I guess SNK is happy with where they are right now. Krohen's far hard punch can now be cancelled until the final hit. Krohen's far hard kick has been made faster, going from 10 frames to 8 frames. Krohen's forward light punch command normal now scales better in combos. Krohen's Climax Super Calamity Overdrive has also had its hitbox moved upwards, and now when you cancel into it on an aerial opponent, you will get all of the hits. This also applies to his first super, Infernal Prominence. I still remember when this guy was at the top of the tier list. These changes aren't going to help him climb anywhere close to as high as he used to be, but they're all good changes that are going to make him more stable to play. Kula's close standing hard kick now recovers faster. The hard kick version of Kula's Ray Spin will now get every hit of the projectile follow-up. The cancel timing for the projectile follow-up has been made way longer. You can really delay this thing. Kula is a pretty cool character. While she didn't get many changes, all of her changes are going to keep her more consistent across the board. Angel's air down hard kick command normal has been given more active frames. Angel's command run can now be cancelled into command grab. If this wasn't scary enough, now there's a light version of her command run. Previously, the command run would always go through the opponent. Now, if you use light kick, you'll stay right in front. I can't wait to see what all the Angel players cook up with these changes. The hurt box on Yashiro's light dash punch has been made bigger and the hitbox has been made smaller, although on hit it still has the same hitbox, so your combo should still work, but you should be a little bit more careful when throwing this one out in neutral. Yeah! On the other hand, the hard punch version of his dash punch now leaves him much closer. Yeah! He's plus on block here and can go for a frame trap or a throw. The EX version of his dash punch has had its hurt box made bigger. Again, another change to make it a little bit easier to whiff punish Yashiro. It seems like SNK want to de-incentivize him using light dash punch and EX dash punch in neutral in favor of using the new buffed hard dash punch. And I have to say, it is quite the buff. Shermie's anti-air super, Shermie Shock, now has more recovery frames on whiff. EX Shermie Whip now has a bigger hitbox, meaning it can combo from things it used to not be able to. Although this hitbox change only applies to when it's used in combos, not in neutral. It seems like they didn't have a lot to give to Shermie, rightfully so, as she's already an amazing character and one of the best grapplers in the game. Chris's crouching hard kick can now be cancelled into special moves on block and hit. The special cancel timing has also been increased. Chris's EX dive kick can now OTG. The EX version of Shooting Dancer Thrust has been made faster, going from 13 frames to 10 frames, and the movement speed has been increased. Chris's EX teleport can put him in the corner. Regular Chris has always been a character that's not too amazing, but not too bad, somewhere in the middle, and I don't really think these changes are going to do much for him. I really do find it strange that the EX dive kick can OTG now, when a character like Terry has had that since launch. K-Dash's teleport blackout now recovers faster when cancelled from his fireball. The max version of K-Dash's second super, Chain Drive, has been given an Anywhere Juggle property. This means that if it hits an aerial opponent, counter hit or not, it will combo. K-Dash could do something similar to this in the King of Fighters 11, and I find it really strange that they'd bring something back from that game, but I loved K-Dash in that game, and now all we need is the air fireball and we'll be back in business. Maxima's close light kick now recovers faster and can be chained into standing light punch. The max version of double vapor cannon now is only 6 frames. Maxima is one of those characters that you either love or forget exists. These buffs aren't going to change that. Whip's close hard kick is now a low. Crouching hard punch's hitbox now covers her body. The neutral jump version of Whip's hard kick now pops the opponent up on hit and can be cancelled into special moves. To compensate for this change, it can only be used once in a combo now. The light version of Whip's whip stance would whiff on jumping opponents if hit at certain distances. Now, if the first hit connects, the full move will come out. All of these are amazing buffs. Having a low-hitting close hard kick is great for any character, but for Whip it's interesting. Since she's a character that excels at controlling space and keeping you away, it gives her some reward for coming in close and trying to score a big low. Overall, I think Whip got a lot of good in this patch despite not getting too many changes. Antonov's far hard kick can now be cancelled into special moves and supers. This change has transformed the move into a really rewarding poke, but as a result you can only land one of these one time in a combo, but I think the trade-off is pretty good as you can basically make people melt for just whiff punishing.
Amazing combo!
No max mode required. Ramon's run grab, the somersault, can now be cancelled into Birds of Paradise, his flip move. The EX version of Roman's command grab now leaves the opponent knocked down for far longer than it used to be. Ramon's EX run wall dive Tiger Load can now OTG. The EX version of Faint Step, Ramon's flying kick, can now be cancelled using the light kick button. Previously, he would just have to stay like this and do the move, or wait an absurdly long time for it to cancel. Now that he can cancel this, Ramon might have the fastest way to waste all of your bars in the game. So if you want to troll your opponent and waste all of your meter just doing this, go for it. Ramon's wall run super will now combo from hoist 1. Previously, it was either impossible or very hard to do this. Now it's pretty much consistent. Ramon is one of the most fun characters to watch be played at a high level. Hopefully with these buffs, he's gonna be flying like an eagle. Dinosaur has more time to confirm his close standing hard kick. Rex Head, Dinosaur's forward light punch command normal, will now hard knock down an airborne opponent. This is great for Dinosaur because you always want to jump out of those command grabs or maybe backdash. Previously with this move, you'd get hit by it, it really wasn't that big of a deal, but now you get hard knockdown and you're put right back into that blender exactly where you don't want to be. Giga Comply, Dinosaur's biting move, got a new version on Light Kick. This version is much faster. It's useful in combos where the original Giga Comply wouldn't connect. Dinner of Dinosaur, Dinosaur's Rush Super has been made a frame faster, now being 17 frames. That's a relatively small change compared to this next one. Now, the normal version of Dinner for Dinosaur can be advance cancelled into Dinosaur's Command Grab Super.
That's gonna leave a mark.
I really do like that super change because in KOF 15 it's rare to have characters who can't normal cancel into advance cancel. It was a lot more common in the King of Fighters 14, and the fact that Dinosaur couldn't do it is pretty silly considering characters like Clark and Shermie both had similar cancels for the longest time, and now Dinosaur's finally having his day. Dinosaur is always a fun character to watch, and I hope these changes encourage people to pick him up or maybe pick him back up. The hard punch version of Leona's flash kick, Moon Slasher, now has more anti-air invulnerability. The rest of Leona's changes revolve around one special move, and if you played Leona, this makes a lot of sense. Earring Bomb is a special move that throws out an earring. The punch version will throw an earring, and it will stick to the opponent. You can then make it explode. The kick version will just have the earring explode, like a regular projectile. This move was really not that great to use, so SNK rolled up their sleeves and gave it a ton of buffs. If you could believe it, both versions of EX Earring Bomb would explode on contact with even a normal projectile. There was basically no reason to ever throw it out in neutral because it could just be nullified by your opponent's regular Joe projectile, even though you spent 0.5 meters. The punch version's explosion timer has been made drastically shorter. The explosion has an anywhere juggle, and when you pair it with this next buff, it completely opens up Leona's combo game. Now, off of certain special moves, Leona can cancel into the explosion and continue her combo. There are two special moves you can't cancel into the explosion: Ballistic Launcher, and the hard kick follow-up to her slashing special. Other than that, you have free range to cancel into almost anything you want. Out of all the changes made in this patch, these are some of my favorites. Earring was always such a cool special move, but you really had no reason to use it and it really wasn't even that good. Now it has its own unique identity and gives Leona some real sauce. Only time will tell what she'll cook with it. Ralph's close light punch can now be rapid cancelled into any light attack. Ralph's close light kick can now be rapid cancels into other moves besides itself. The EX version of Ralph's dive kick, dive bomb, or punch, well, let me just show you the difference. They basically added a whole new second part to this move, and he just pulls out the Galactica Phantom like it's nothing. The reason why I wanted to cover this patch was because of this special move. This is more than just changing the attack hit properties. It's basically a new special move, and we're going to see a little bit more of that as we go through the patch. Clark's close hard kick has low invincibility. They've delayed it slightly so that if you don't time it well, a low can still hit you. Clark's sweep now recovers a little bit slower, making it easier to whiff punish him. The hitbox from Clark's jumping hard punch, specifically when you do hops and hyper hops, has been made better. This is a nice horizontal button that's going to be good at checking people hopping at you. Lastly, they buffed the damage on Clark's air throw from 100 to 150. The buffs and nerfs Clark got really aren't that significant, and I don't think they're going to hinder or aid him in any real meaningful way. At the end of the day, he's still a really solid grappler. Terry's close light kick can now be rapid cancelled into other normals, opening up a whole new avenue of combo routes. I want to use this time to remind you that Terry's close light kick is a standing low, which means that he can go for some really scary empty jumps now.
No problem.
Rising upper, Terry's down forward hard punch command normal has had its recovery reduced, making it faster. This was always a decent anti-air, and I'm interested to see if this is going to make it a more viable option. Terry's hard kick power dunk has been changed completely. In the previous patch, it used to hit twice and had a guard point on it. Now, it'll only hit once. So up close, nothing happens. On regular hit, it's just a hard knockdown. But if you counter hit with this thing, you get an entire ground bounce. Off of one stray hit, you can easily break 400 damage for just one bar. And if they're in the corner, it could be so much worse.
What a combo! They're in the zone!
When I read the patch notes, I was bummed out that they were taking away my beloved armor point on my power dunk, but now they can keep it, because this new power dunk is just way cooler and offers a much more interesting risk-reward. And if all of that wasn't enough, hard kick power dunk is now plus on block, leaving you right in front of the opponent to either go for a throw or a frame trap. Despite not getting a laundry list of changes, Terry's buffs are amazing, and I cannot wait to put them to the test in some real matches. Andy's elbow can now be stopped early by pressing light punch and light kick together. The hard kick version of Andy's flying kick seems to hard knock down on the final hit. And that's it for Andy. He really didn't get anything too major. Joe's light punch is now a frame faster. Joe's close light kick can be rapid cancelled into other normals, much like the buff Terry got. Joe's EX Hurricane Upper can be cancelled early. Normally, it does 3 hits. Now when you cancel it, it will only do 2. You can now also only use this move once in a combo. The light kick version of Slash Kick now recovers faster and has more active frames. The changes to Joe's light normals is going to help his up close game. Being able to stop his EX Tornado is going to make an already amazing projectile even better, because now he's going to be able to bait jumps. And making the light Slash Kick more active and recover faster is just going to make it a better poke in neutral. Ryo now recovers slower from forward throw. Ryo's thrusting punch on light plus heavy now puts the opponent in a juggle state. Ryo's heavy fireball now recovers slower. But the biggest change of all is on his EX machine gun punches. This move is a cornerstone of his moveset, and it's been nerfed, unfortunately. Now when you use it mid-screen, you can no longer get a combo. You still can get a combo in the corner, though. Ryo was top tier last patch, and this EX machine gun nerf is gonna hit him like a ton of bricks. The EX machine gun punch change is gonna hurt, but that doesn't mean that he's helpless mid-screen. Now Ryo is just gonna have to get more creative with his combo routing or get his opponent to the corner for that big damage. Although, with the change to the air blowbacks, he's also gonna be one of the characters who's just gonna be able to cash out whenever he gets that big juicy counter hit. Previously, if you used Robert's rapid kicks and tried to cancel into the max version of either of his supers, it would just whiff completely. It was actually really pathetic. They've changed it now so that it will always hit every time. Robert's command grab now has a new version that's not a grab at all. Now when using the hard kick version, it'll do a hit grab that pops the opponent up for a combo. For those unaware, Robert was a top tier in KOF 14, and he just hasn't been the same in KOF 15. These changes, really, are they going to go far for him? Probably not. But they're nice to have, although that change to rapid kicks, I don't know, man, just seeing that thing whiff, it really should have never done that. King can now rapid cancel her close light kick into crouching light punch and crouching light kick. King's overhead, trap kick, has had its hitbox moved downwards. A new version of trap shot has been added on heavy kick. The heavy kick version of trap shot now has major anti-air capabilities. King is another character who has one change that will really go far. The hard kick version of trap shot is going to be incredibly useful, since King is all about playing footsies, playing around her fireballs, and giving her a tool that rewards her for correctly anti-airing just makes sense. Previously, she had to use her crouching hard punch. This is an amazing button, but you really don't get much off of it. Now with hard kick trap shot, she can convert into some decent damage and make her opponent think twice about trying to jump over her fireballs. Athena's Shining Crystal Bit can now be cancelled into Crystal Shoot on either the normal or max versions. To complement this change, they've expanded the hitbox on Crystal Shot, but only when the opponent is in a combo. The max version of Crystal Shot has also been buffed, making it easier to climax cancel out of and advance cancel into while in the air. These changes to Shining Crystal Bit and Crystal Shot are going to make her damage shoot through the roof. Although I'm pretty sure she used to just be able to do this in old KOFs naturally. So I'm glad to see this come back. Mai now recovers faster when canceling into her slide from a combo. Mai's EX projectile now knocks back less. Thanks to this change, she can now get new combos from EX projectile in the corner. Mai can now follow up her wall jumps with her dive kick. When using the dive kick in the wall jump, Mai will always face her opponent even if she crosses them up. Mai mostly got stability changes, but that change to EX projectile is a lot of fun. Jumping light punch can now be cancelled into command normals. On the heavy version of her dragon punch, she can now follow up with another dragon punch. Her EX dragon punch has more recovery on block and whiff. The punch follow-up from Yuri's EX Demon Flip now hard knockdowns after the ground bounce. Yuri is one of the big winners this patch. Being able to cancel into the dive kick from the jumping light punch is going to allow for so many more combo opportunities and interesting conversions. Now that she can do the uppercut follow-up after her heavy DP, she's going to be able to get more damage for less meter in certain situations. The first hit of back light kick has more knockback on block. Down forward hard kick is now a frame faster. The hard punch version of spinfall now has a bigger hitbox only during a combo. Speaking of hard punch spinfall, you can now follow up hard punch spinfall with M Spider. Plus, the cherry on top is you recover a lot faster when you do this cancel. Mary's changes might not look like much, but from what I've seen, it's going to make the lives of Mary players a lot easier when they're trying to do their harder combos. Vanessa's crouching hard kick can now be whiff cancelled. The EX version of her overhead punch now travels forward. The puncher straight follow-up to her EX command dash now has anywhere juggle properties. Vanessa has always been a very unique character. Unfortunately, when the game came out, she was very, very overpowered and got nerfed into the ground. Ever since then, she's gotten small buffs here and there, leading to this patch where she got even more buffs. She's not going to be as good as she used to be, but they emphasized more of her unique aspects with these changes. While in leg stance, Luong can now backdash. The max version of her snake kick super is now faster at 7 frames. Her rush super can now no longer be cancelled mid-animation, but you can now cancel at the end, getting all of the damage and then going into your next super.
This is gonna hurt. Can they stop?
If you cancelled too early with this super, you would be losing out on a lot of damage, so SNK giving you the ability to just easy mode it to the end is a nice change. This change applies to the max version as well.
This is gonna hurt. Can they stop?
Luong is an already strong character that just got stronger with more damage and a little bit more maneuverability while in stance. Jenny's close light punch now recovers faster. The heavy version of her projectile now recovers faster. And the EX version also recovers faster. On airborne opponents, the light version of Golf Tomahawk will now hold them in place if you want to super cancel. Speaking of super cancels, the air version of Many Torpedoes has had its hitbox expanded so that it actually combos instead of dropping out in situations like this. Most of Jenny's changes were consistency changes, but having a faster fireball recovery is always nice. Parabola Kick, his overhead, now has more range. If you cancel into Parabola Kick, it has more forward momentum. If you counter hit with the heavy version of overhead kick, it will ground bounce. Rock has an alternate climax super that does less damage but leaves him in a powered up state. Certain special moves in this state have been buffed to generate more meter. The special moves are Reppuken, Hard Edge, the Hard Edge follow-up to his Command Dash, and the Command Grab follow-up to his Command Dash. It looks like Rock read Terry's patch notes and decided, yeah, I'm gonna do that too. The changes to Parabola Kick are nice because I've played a little bit of Rock and I can say that I've had that thing whiff in times that I really didn't need it to. It's obvious that SNK wants players to use Rock's transformed state since they buffed all of his meter gain. The major disadvantage for going for it is that you're getting less damage than you would from your regular climax, but you get a bunch of buffed specials. Now when you're in it, you're gonna gain a little bit more meter to offset a bit of that disadvantage. Out of all of the characters in the patch, Gato has to have been the character that received the most buffs. His close light kick now recovers faster. His close hard punch now activates sooner, has a better hitbox, but also has a worse hurtbox. The heavy version of his Wild Fang command jump can now be broken on whiff. Gato can now fast fall from the EX version of Wild Fang by holding down. The heavy kick follow-up to his EX command jump is now only 3 frames. The heavy punch command jump can now be broken on whiff. Like the EX kick version, Gato can hold down to fall faster. The neck snap follow-up now falls faster. His counter is now 1 frame. Previously it was 3. The max version of his Freeze Fang Super is now a frame faster. The max version of his Dragon Fang Super has been given an Anywhere Juggle property, its hitbox has been adjusted to compensate that, and now the attack moves more forward on the first hit. Someone at SNK must have really liked Gato to give him all of this good stuff. I don't really play Gato, so I have no idea how his players are going to apply any of this, but I can't say I'm excited to fight Gato. Geese's backdash now recovers slower. Geese's sweep is now slower from 8 frames to 10 frames. Geese's EX Reppuken is now slower from 13 frames to 15 frames, but now allows a combo on hit. Both versions of Geese's Palm Special now push back less, making it way easier to punish him for going for it. Geese has been top tier for a long time, and it looks like SNK had it out for the guy. Those palm changes specifically are really going to hinder his game plan. Billy's Crouching Light Punch can now be cancelled on hit. The second hit of Billy's sweep will now hit grounded opponents. Billy's Jumping Hard Punch is now 2 frames faster at 12 frames. Billy's down heavy punch command normal will now hit opponents in front of him. Previously, this was only a cross-up tool. The light version of his stick extend can now be followed up with the explosion. Previously, only the heavy punch version had this ability. He'll also have an easier time canceling into it since the cancel window has been made longer. The light version of his anti-air special has had its hitbox increase, making it better at catching people. The heavy kick version of his counter, which counters lows, can now be super cancelled. His kick super now has a larger super cancel window for advanced cancels and climax cancels. His climax move now has a bigger hitbox, but only on hit. Billy is a character who has been struggling since he came out in the DLC, and I don't really know if these changes are going to be the ones that he needs. I know he has a lot of problems with his frame data, and it's really strange the direction Billy has gone in this game, considering he was pretty good in 14. But I want to hear from the Billy players themselves. Are these the changes you guys wanted, or does your boy still need some help? The light punch version of Yamazaki's snake arm will now hit grounded opponents. Previously, it would only hit aerial opponents. EX snake arm can now be cancelled into sand kick. The max version of Pit Viper has a much bigger attack hitbox and will now connect mid-screen. The snake arm changes alone are enough to make Yamazaki a happy camper, and the super changes are just a nice little bonus. Yashiro can now combo off of his forward light punch shoulder bash target combo and his forward light kick shoulder bash target combo. You should have no problem comboing into this from quarter circle back hard punch since its hitbox has been increased during combos. The normal version of Yashiro's punch super now does less damage. That damage nerf sucks, but overall he could have made it out a lot worse. The normal versions of Shermie's projectile now have more active frames. The hitbox has been made larger for the first hit of her EX projectile. The heavy version of her aerial heel kick now no longer lands on the ground before the attack starts up. Chris's crouching light kick now recovers faster. Just like regular Chris, his crouching hard kick can now be cancelled into command normals on hit and block, and the cancel window for special moves has been made larger. Quarter circle back light punch can now be comboed off of on hit. OChris now has a ton of new combo opportunities on every version of his fireball. The heavy version is now much faster, from 32 frames to 28 frames. The light version of Chris's command grab can now be super cancelled. The heavy version of Chris's command grab has had its range increased and can be cancelled into quarter circle back heavy punch. Chris's flame pillar super will now no longer travel outside of the stage. I don't have time to show them all, but OChris has a ton of new conversions off of the fireball. OChris is another character who got a ton of buffs, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more people playing him in the future. Homaru's crouching heavy punch has had its hitbox reduced, it has more active frames, and now has a bigger cancel window for special moves. His jumping heavy punch now has more active frames off of hops and hyper hops. Homaru's jumping blowback attack now has more active frames and a smaller hurtbox. Pair that with the universal change to air blowbacks, and Homaru is going to be able to do a ton of damage off counter hits. Homaru's Iron Flash on Light Punch plus Hard Punch when hitting an opponent in the air will now send them back farther. If Homaru hits the tip of his Iron Flash on the opponent, it'll be considered a clean hit. On counter hit, this has devastating consequences. I play a bit of Homaru myself, and his biggest problem is his slow buttons. With the buff to his crouching hard punch and his jumping hard punch from hops, I think he's going to have a little bit of an easier time playing neutral. Plus, the buff to his blowback attack is going to make his neutral game even easier, especially with all the system changes this patch. Nagaruru's close hard punch has a bigger hitbox, the second hit can be cancelled into command moves, and now there's less knockback on hit and block. Nagaruru's far hard punch recovers faster. The cancelled version of her forward light punch is now slower at 26 frames, but it has less recovery and the opponent has more block stun. Nagaruru's aerial down hard kick will now face the opponent when crossing up. Nagaruru's down forward light punch command now travels farther. Nagaruru's Dragon Punch special can now be cancelled into supers and has more hit stop, making it easier to hit confirm. Nagaruru can now perform a jumping attack after doing the up kick follow-up when she clings to her bird. Both supers have had their hitboxes expanded, but only during combos. Nagaruru has always had a consistency problem with her combos. Now with all of these changes, it should be a lot less likely to drop your combos. Dolly's jumping hard punch is now a frame faster when using it in a hop. Her jumping hard kick is now 3 frames faster at 12 frames, but from any type of jump. Dolly's overhead can now be cancelled into quick max and supers. Dolly's sweeping shave on light punch plus hard punch now has an expanded hitbox and reduced recovery. The level 3 charged version of Serpentine Breaker is now faster from 34 frames to 27 frames. The hard punch version of Dolly's Blade Surf now does more damage, it does more stun, and it can cross up opponents in the corner. Dolly is one of the worst characters in this game, and I do not think that these changes are really going to give her much. For the longest time, it's been memed that Dolly and Billy are the 2 worst, and now with Billy getting buffs, I wonder if he's going to be leaving her behind. On regular hit, Shingo's Light Rekka will now knock down. On critical hit, Shingo will now get a full combo. On critical hit, the heavy version of Shingo's Rekka now does more damage, it does more guard damage, and he builds more meter. Holy shit! I didn't know he built that much meter! Shingo might have gotten the least amount of changes, but that first change is going to make it so that when he combos from lights, he might just be able to do upwards to 400 to 600 damage, depending on how much meter he wants to invest, and, of course, how lucky he is with his critical hits. As a certified Shingo player, I approve these buffs. Kim's far light kick can now be cancelled. Kim's far hard kick is now faster at 9 frames, it has less recovery frames, it has more knockback on hit, it has less knockback on block, and it has less knockback distance on hit and block. Kim's flying kick on forward light punch now has less recovery on block and whiff, but if you get this one blocked, you're still eating a huge punish. It might be a little bit better on whiff as you can block sooner, so if your opponent doesn't react, you might not be dead, but on block, it's not looking good still. Kim can now pick up a combo after landing Air Hangetsun. The EX version of Kim's flash kick now has a bigger hitbox when used in combos. Kim now recovers faster from his hard kick flash kick when you do the ender. Kim's air super now has a much bigger grab box, making it look kind of funny. When cancelling into his air super from the hard kick version of Air Hangetsun, the super will start up faster, allowing for him to get a combo. It always felt weird that Kim didn't launch with KOF 15. He was the second character of Season 2, and he really hasn't felt himself. With these buffs, I hope he becomes a lot more solid because Kim is one of the most fun characters in the King of Fighters. Sylvie's Shatter Strike, her Advanced Strike, and her Guard Cancel Blowback now don't travel as far. Her heavy Blanca Ball has also been made faster, going from 22 frames to 18 frames. Its hitbox has also been moved upwards, but only during combos. Sylvie's Pula Experiment Super now starts up faster when cancelled from the hard kick version of her Blanca Ball. Sylvie is the only character who had her Blowback, Advanced Strike, and Shatter Strike nerfed, and her Blowback attack does go pretty far, so that's probably why. I think that Sylvie is already a pretty good character, so she really didn't need many buffs or nerfs, I would say, although making the hard kick Blanca Ball faster is definitely going to be scary in neutral. Duolan's forward light punch command normal had its hitbox moved downward, but only during combos. The EX version of his command dash can now cross up opponents in the corner. Duolan didn't get many changes, but being able to get behind you in the corner is going to open up a whole new world of mix-ups. Naj's far-standing hard kick can be cancelled into her Retribution of the Unknown special as long as she has level 1. Her air dash special can now be performed from a backwards jump. Her changes are mainly going to help her neutral game and her combo game. Hinako's jump has been made faster. It's still as floaty as before, but you can feel the difference. Her far hard kick now travels further. Her forward light punch hard kick command normal now has less knockback on hit and block. When connecting with an opponent in the air, the light version of Hanako's Sumo Palm special now keeps her closer on hit. The light punch version of her slap into the overhead slam is now faster from 11 frames to 9 frames. Hanako's run grab on punch has a stop. When you stop, you'll now be able to move sooner. Her backwards toss grab can now be super cancelled into her first super. The EX version of her backwards toss grab now travels forward. Hanako's sumo stomp can now nullify projectiles. Hinako is an okay grappler in a game filled with amazing ones. Now with this laundry list of buffs, maybe she'll have enough positives to outweigh her negatives and she'll finally be able to stand toe-to-toe with Shermie or Clark. Omega Rugal's Dark Barrier can now be super cancelled earlier. Rugal's Vanishing Rush has been changed completely. It does less damage, it has a bigger hitbox, it now keeps the opponent closer on hit, you can't use it multiple times in a combo, or in a combo with EX Vanishing Rush, and it no longer causes a hard knockdown. The max version of Rugal's Laser Super will now fully connect on OTG. They did slightly nerf the damage on this to compensate though. All in all, Rugal made it out of this patch pretty well off. The hitboxes on Gonets's normal and EX Rekka have been made larger. The EX version of his jumping slash attack on DP plus both kicks has been made faster, going from 20 frames to 17 frames. Pair this with the buff to up slashes and he can make some new combos. Gonets, our last character, is another one who only got buffs, but all of his buffs are to his main combo tools. With these buffs, I think he's going to be the strongest he's ever been in the game's history. And that was my brief look at the KOF 15 patch version 2.41. I love the King of Fighters, but I'm no expert in every character, so if I missed anything major, please let me know in the comments. In my opinion, the big winners in this patch are Whip, Ramon, Leona, Terry, Yuri, Gato, Yamazaki, Billy, OChris, Homaru, Shingo, Kim, Hinako, and Gonets. On the other hand, the losers would be Ryo, Geese, and Isla. Although, as I said earlier, they didn't get nerfed as hard as previous top tiers did in previous patches. Taking everything into consideration, it looks like SNK's goal when it came to this patch was to give characters more stability, whether that be making a move a couple of frames faster, or shortening a recovery to open up new combo options, or, in a select few cases, change a move's use case entirely. SNK did a great job, and hopefully they can take everything they learned balancing this game and apply it to all of their future fighters. This is a great patch, and if it's the last patch KOF 15 ever gets, it ended on a high note. But, you know, I kind of feel like I'm forgetting something.